She asked the black waiter to play piano. He wasn't just a waiter, he was a legend. She asked the black waiter to play the piano just to make a joke in front of her rich friends. But when he sat down and played, the entire room fell silent. What happened next turned a casual dinner into history. Stick around till the end and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories that leave you speechless. It was a warm Saturday evening at the Alira estate, a sprawling countryside mansion where luxury danced in every corner. The air smelled like roses and old money. Chandeliers glittered above a long mahogany table where guests, dressed in tuxedos and silk, laughed over clinking champagne flutes amid this elite gathering. The hostess, Victoria Alira, a wealthy socialite known for her dramatic flair, was entertaining a group of investors and family friends. She had a sharp tongue and a habit of turning people into punchlines. The staff worked like shadows, subtle, professional, forgettable. Among them was Darius, a tall black man in his early 30s, dressed in a white service coat and black slacks. His posture was perfect, his service impeccable, his eyes calm and observant. Victoria noticed him quietly refilling drinks and clearing plates. Something in his quiet dignity irked her. Maybe it was the way he didn't shrink like the others. Maybe she just needed someone to belittle in front of her guests. With a smirk, she looked at her grand piano near the window. "Waiter," she said loudly, "you look like you could use a spotlight. Why don't you play us a tune? Surely you know a little something about jazz." Her friends chuckled, some awkwardly, some gleefully. One man even added, "Come on, make it lively." The room buzzed with laughter. It was a joke to them, a way to see the waiter squirm. Darius paused. His hand tightened slightly around the silver tray he held. Then, with a slow and dignified nod, he placed the tray down on the side table. "If you insist, ma'am," he said softly. The grand piano stood quietly in the corner of the room, its glossy black frame polished to perfection, more like a decorative piece than an instrument. Most nights it remained untouched. Tonight, however, all eyes turned as Darius walked toward it, not hesitantly, but with quiet confidence. The smug grins and low chuckles from the wealthy guests followed him like shadows. Victoria raised an eyebrow, expecting clumsy notes and awkward fumbling, but Darius didn't rush. He pulled out the bench, sat down with grace, and adjusted his sleeves like a seasoned performer preparing for the stage. Then he laid his fingers gently on the keys and began, not with something playful or random, but with Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, its soft, mournful tones drifting like smoke across the dining hall. The laughter died instantly. His fingers moved with elegance and precision, not just striking keys, but telling a story of loss, hope, and brilliance. As he transitioned into Chopin's Ballade No. 1, the air thickened with emotion. Forks were set down, glasses were forgotten. Even the waitstaff stood still. This was no waiter playing for amusement. This was a man unveiling his soul one note at a time. When the last note faded into the room's stunned silence, the sound of reality returned, soft gasps, hands slowly coming together in applause. Then a crescendo of clapping that shook the chandeliers above. It wasn't just appreciation, it was A.W. People rose to their feet without thinking. One man whispered, "That wasn't just music." Another woman wiped tears from her eyes, completely forgetting her untouched dessert. Even Victoria, who moments earlier had treated Darius like a joke, sat frozen in her chair, the wine glass in her hand trembling ever so slightly. She tried to recover her composure, forcing a smile as she called out, "Wait, waiter, where did you learn to play like that?" Her voice lacked the arrogance it once held. Darius turned slowly, calm and poised, but there was weight behind his eyes, stories he hadn't told. "I studied at Juilliard," he said, his voice low but clear. "But after my father died unexpectedly, I had to leave school to support my mother. Playing piano became something I only did at night, when no one was watching." The guests looked at each other in disbelief. Juilliard, the man they had mocked, was trained by one of the most elite institutions in the world. Another guest asked, "So, why are you waiting tables?" Darius offered a soft smile that carried no bitterness, just truth. "Because talent doesn't always pay the bills. But music lives in me, whether I'm on a stage or serving plates." And with that, he bowed his head respectfully and walked away, leaving the room filled with people who suddenly realized they hadn't just watched a performance, they had witnessed greatness. The next morning, the story of Darius's breathtaking piano performance had spread like wildfire. Guests who attended the dinner had posted videos and shared their astonishment across social media platforms. Within hours, millions watched the clips. Comments flooded in from all over the world. Music lovers, professional musicians, and even well-known celebrities expressed their admiration for the waiter who played like a seasoned virtuoso. Record labels reached out, concert halls invited him to perform, and Juilliard itself contacted him with an offer to return on a full scholarship. Yet, through all the sudden attention and tempting offers, Darius remained humble and grounded. Victoria Alira, who had once mocked him, now faced the undeniable truth. At a public press conference, she apologized openly, admitting how wrong and unfair she had been. "Darius is not just a waiter," she said quietly. "He is a legend whose talent deserves every chance and honor." Meanwhile, Darius's life transformed overnight. His first public concert was scheduled at Carnegie Hall, where the music professor who had once whispered his name in disbelief now proudly introduced him to a packed audience. That night, the applause was thunderous, the respect genuine, and the man who had been invisible in a white coat now stood center stage, no longer a waiter, but a legend in his own right. Darius's story touched hearts far beyond the music world. It became a powerful symbol of perseverance, dignity, and the hidden potential that exists within everyone, regardless of their circumstances. He spoke openly about the struggles that forced him to put aside his dreams about loss, sacrifice, and the quiet battles so many fight every day behind closed doors. His message was simple but profound. Never judge someone by their job, their appearance, or their situation. True greatness often hides in the most unexpected places. Through his foundation, Darius began helping talented young musicians from disadvantaged backgrounds, giving them the scholarships and opportunities he had once been denied. His TED Talk went viral worldwide, where he said, "Don't mistake a person's position for their potential. What you mock today could be the legend you admire tomorrow." Even Victoria Alira, who had unintentionally sparked this journey, donated a wing of her estate to support his foundation. Darius's story reminded the world that real talent and greatness aren't defined by status or privilege, but by passion, resilience, and heart. And that sometimes, a man in a waiter's uniform isn't just serving food, he's serving inspiration to millions.